My name is Ellie Davis, and you are listening to the League of Women Voters Oral History. I'm speaking with John Nagle, former member of the Radnor Board of Commissioners and decade-long member of the League of Women Voters.
So my first involvement with the League was probably 87. And then I was the treasurer for a couple years. I moved to Radnor in 85. At the time, my daughter was a year old. I was commissioner for 10 years, finishing up 2 years ago. It was like 2009 to 2019, because I filled an unexpired term for 2 years and then two of my own terms. Once I got elected, I had to resign. They have a no nonpartisan policy for the officers. And what I did then is I became the bookkeeper. So during the 10 years I was a commissioner, I think what worked, first of all, they gave me a lot of intelligence, if you will. They knew what was going on in the community. And as a commissioner, it's really difficult sometimes to find out what's happening with the people, if you will. Typically, you're only hearing from special interest or people that want something. And then I think I was able to return that by giving them a lot of insight in what was going on in the township, and context. Most people really don't pay attention, and they'll hear something and get all inflamed, and they don't understand the background. So it's been a really good relationship. I haven't recently, but I used to attend all the board meetings and just hear the discussions. And then sometimes if there was a particular issue, I just flat out asked the people. Now, even there, it wasn't like I was getting the opinion in Radnor Township. It was that specific group, which was the League. But that group, from their point of view, tended to be a good government, that kind of group. So that they provided that. And that's also where I was able to help them understand some of the things.
Mr. Nagle even said that,
So it's like anything good, it seems like they're right there.
in reference to the League of Women Voters. One such good thing that came from the League of Women Voters is the Radnor Recycling Program.
Well, actually, it goes back to the 80s. The recycling program, the League championed. I was on Parks Board back in the 80s, and I was part of developing that, and I did it with the environmental chair from the League.
Unfortunately, the recycling program in Radnor has a long way to go.
Recycling is so important, but unfortunately, it's been a great frustration. I don't know what the deal is, but people can't follow the simplest of rules. And when I was commissioner, I tried to get the township to be more aggressive with people who didn't follow the rules, and couldn't get the other commissioners on board for that.
In addition to recycling, Mr. Nagle discussed how
The League really championed the Radnor Trail. You're familiar with the new trails that are going in? And there's even more. I mean, there's an extension of the existing trail. Pretty soon you're going to be able to go all the way down to the Blue Route. The problem there, of course, is funding, as always. But so far, the trails really haven't cost our citizens very much, because we've been able to do it with like open space money.
in addition to the Radnor Trail, the League championed
Open space. The Radnor Conservancy actually grew out of the League. It was Elaine Schaefer and Ginny Kreitler, who were both League members, and they founded it. I was one of the founding members of that. Open space has always been a love of mine, and we, as you know, a couple years ago successfully bought 70 acres over at Ardrossan. The importance of that, when you tie that purchase together with existing parkland, we effectively have a 200-acre park along Darby Paoli Road. We were told by biologists that there's some magic in that size, that you start to see more birds, more animals, because they have that corridor they can move in without worrying about too much about roads or development. Um, and we worked really hard on that. The open space purchases until Ardrossan didn't cost the residents anything because we used the open space fund, which collects from what's called the transfer tax. When you buy a house or sell a house, you have to pay a transfer tax, and a percentage of that went into the open space fund. And that money, if you're familiar with the financing, a bond, you borrow money on a bond, and then you pay for that over a period of time. And we were always able to have enough in the open space fund to cover those payments. And again, the league was always there supporting that.
Though the League did a great job supporting Radnor's open space initiatives, more can be done, according to Nagle, to limit light pollution.
A couple things we weren't successful with yet. One is lighting. Uh, Now, I was able, when they did the Villanova project, um, to include in the ordinance for there that they have to meet what's called dark sky standards for their lighting. Um, that's really important because otherwise you can't see stars around here. I tried to get that expanded. We had speakers in. Roberta was the champion on that, as she is on most things. And we had speakers in to talk about it. But night lighting is really critical to the critters. Um, if you have your backyard and have lights on all night, you're not going to see the normal nocturnal animals. Um, some people don't think that's important. I happen to think it is. I mean, we took their land.
Mr. Nagle also talked about the importance of attracting new young members to the League of Women Voters.
Problem I've seen over the years, and I've really been critical about, is young members. The problem, they have their meetings, or used to have their meetings at noon. Well, working people couldn't make those unless they worked here in Radnor and just could scoot over for the meeting. And certainly mothers. It was very few young, and by young I mean even 40. In the past few years, they've been more actively recruiting. And then with Roberta, we had the intern thing start because she's such a little dynamo.
The League has also improved in general levels of participation in the last few years.
But it goes up and down. There was a time when they really weren't doing much, just because we didn't have the resources. Uh, it's funny, we still had the membership numbers because I was doing that as treasurer, uh, but not participation. And it's a lot better now, and I think it could be even better.
For all the long-term political projects, the League has also been a sponsor for fun and community in Radnor.
I always enjoyed, uh, we started that fall festival when I was on Parks Board, and the League was a member of that from the get-go and supported that. I have found that that has been a great community event. It really brings people out. Um, my experience is people are dying for community, if you will. And if you do, like we have that, the township does the car show in the spring. It's mobbed. The the Wayne Festival last year, if you saw the XPN's music festival, um, you couldn't move. If you wanted to walk from, the grog over to the parking lot where the stage was, it could take you a half hour to get there because you had to elbow through people. Um, and again, the league has been an important part of that, supporting it.
And of course, the League has also been a sponsor of important political communication between candidates and voters.
The candidate debates, uh, I think they're important. I'm not sure I would call them, I never called them a debate because the way they do them, it's they ask a question and each person answers it and there's no retort, no true debate. I would love to see them be real debates, but that's just a personal desire. Uh, I mean, I got to debate an empty chair one year. So I think I lost it now.
To finish our conversation, I asked Mr. Nagle what he thought was the most important role of the League of Women Voters today in Radnor.
Well, keeping people honest, showing up. They monitor many of the different meetings, township meetings and school board meetings. And I think their presence, uh, to a degree, keeps people in line, if you will. Uh, One of the things I hated about being a commissioner was the rudeness of people, the rudeness of the board members. Um, I mean, the amount of abuse we took sitting up front was incredible. And that's something the league has come out strongly against. And we have ways to go. This country these days, it's almost like if someone disagrees with you, they're the enemy. Rather than being able to just state your position, you have to attack. It's the first rule, and it's easy to get trapped into. I did it myself, but having someone come up and remind you is really valuable. I've always believed citizen involvement is so vital. You look at the number of boards and commissions that the township has, and they're all volunteer. Uh, they're vital. We could not afford to hire people to fill those positions. They save the taxpayers a lot of money. And the other thing is, how do you want to go through life? Do you want to have some degree of control and involvement in how your life's going, or do you just want to sit back and couch potato it through? Uh, I think the opportunity we can get some more younger members is the networking opportunity it provides. Um, if you're interested enough, you can get involved in the county and the state as well as the local. It's not a huge time commitment, um, but it can be. It's the kind of thing. Whatever you think you can do, but it's all so very important.
Well, thank you so much for your time
Oh
and
yeah.
offering your insight and memories. A big thanks to Mr. Nagle for participating in the League of Women Voters Oral History. Next, we'll be talking to Mary Coe about her environmental efforts with the League. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay civically engaged.